Hey everyone, welcome to our 12th podcast. I have the most fucking awesome Hans Molenkamp. Welcome, brother.
My man. Yay. My man.
It's about time.
Tony Marfione.
I know the last time you were here has been a minute, but you got a chance to see the house from when it was all fucking ripped apart and to seeing it all kind of finished. So
I've seen this, like it's like a dream walking into this place. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You did a great job.
Nah, it's fun. I mean, it was one of those things I probably added about, luckily I'm going to live to be 500 because I took a couple 100 years off my life doing this project, over budget, over everything. And it was a lot of fun, but it kind of represents, what I like and personality and stuff like that. But
your house represents what you make in knives, and it's fucking beautiful.
That's cool.
You've done good job at it's the little details that you spot that I saw. I'm like, oh my God, it's just like his knives, man. Fucking perfect.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, to really appreciate, because the whole idea of the house is to be kind of like a working library to begin with anyway. So seeing a bit of the history, a bit of my memories, that's why some people can get it, some people can't. Like I was saying before, I've invited people in to walk through my library and they're like, oh my God, he's collecting this. It's like, hey, look, these are my memories. These are my, experiences and stuff like that. They're really for me, but I do like to share it.
You have a museum, a literal museum that you could get stuck in and look at for hours, and so, like the things that you've collected, not only to mention the amazing knives that you've produced all in one room like that. It's like the Smithsonian of like knives and cool collectibles. And then, you're not the kind of person that collects them and doesn't know what they are. You went into intricate detail about explaining what these were.
Yeah, I mean, I could bore you certainly for hours on a lot of that, because to be honest with you, you're 100% right. If we had more time, which we will, if not today or tomorrow, next time you visit, next time you got to come in, because to really hear the history of the company, to hear how we've been and just explore some adventures. Each one of those little pieces has a little bit of a story behind it.
There's so much
which makes it even more, it's not just a matter of coming in and like, hey, I bought, this guy's gun collection. There'd probably be a fucking story behind that too. But each one of those pieces at one time or another would have been a segment of my life that has some explanation. And that's how I go back and I reference to, like I was telling you earlier, when I get up there, a lot of times I'll spend a little time in that library just to kind of, get back. I mean, it's, considering, my life, my marriage, my business, everything across my entire lifetime, those are the memories and those are the way that I humble myself, and I think I get to that point where I'm just like unstoppable. I take that moment to be humbled by going back and looking at these pieces, because it draws me back.
It's a history lesson.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's cool to see that it's very curated in a way that, it represents you. And you could see how so much of that has sculpted what you've done with the brand. Yeah. That's what I like. I mean, that's what's always drawn me to the brand anyway, is that it's more than a brand.
Absolutely.
It's more than a brand. It's more than a lifestyle. It's like it's its own entity. It's like it has a heartbeat or something. It's crazy.
I like that.
It's very cool. You've done a good job.
Thank you, bro. Tell me about your involvement on the knives. I know you've been with us now for a bit.
Yeah.
It's Crimson Trace, right?
Crimson Tactical. Crimson Tactical.
Brought to you by Don Julio 1942 on an empty stomach, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Crimson Tactical.
Tactical, excuse me.
Yeah, and so obviously the tactical aspect comes from, we're selling, tactical pieces of knives and whatever, but it was more of just an homage to, like, knowing that, like, we potentially may go down that route, whatever, that's the tactical. Right. But the Crimson side was, I, years ago, back in the day, like, in the G.I. Joe days, there was this character called
G.I. Joe.
Fucking Crimson Guard.
No shit. Okay, I think I would know that.
And so the Crimson Guard were like the cool elite G.I. Joe. Like, they were on the Cobra Commander side, but they were like the elite ones in the group. And I always kind of looked at them and was like, oh, that's a pretty fucking cool name, and they're cool, and like everything crimson red, and I just wanted to blend the two, and that's where Crimson Tactical came from. And from that, and the story of where we came from was literally I saw a Microtech knife. A friend of mine was in a movie called Bullet to the Head with Sylvester Stallone.
Hell yeah, the red freaking Halo.
The red Halo.
And so, red Halo 5. And so I remember doing those knives for that film.
And
yeah, because we made multiples. There was not only, I can't remember the exact count, but there was some that were made as duds. Because a lot of times when we work with theatrics, they would buy live blades and they would dumb them up themselves. But we also, per the request, made some of the Halos that would actually had blunt tips, had a blunt edge, and then what we did is we disengaged the lock. So you would fire it, but it wouldn't lock open.
It would spring back in.
Yeah. So if you look like you walked up and you shanked somebody in the side, it would work out very well. You still had to be careful, but I remember specifically doing those red halos. We were just coming into the North Carolinas when we got that request for those pieces.
That was the first time I saw it. And so I brought my halo, guys. Nice. I brought my halo.
Oh man.
I brought my halo because I needed the halo from that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know more about the knife, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? What is this knife? I mean, it wasn't a switchblade. I really didn't know much about OTF knives.
Right.
And so I started doing some research, and I was in Florida at Flex Lewis's gym of all places.
Oh, nice.
And this boxer named Big Baby Lewis came in, and he had a knockoff horrible piece of shit OTF, and it was bad. And Flex, and I was with Flex, and he's like, "Oh no, you could get these here." And I was leaving Flex's gym to go meet with Jorge Masvidal of all people. Okay. And I told him, I was like, "Hey, do you know where you could get these kind of knives?" And I kind of showed him. And Jorge's like, "Yeah, I know a place. It's down the road. They sell them. I'm not sure if they have the one you want." I go, "I want this version, this Microtech knife. It's called a Microtech."
Nice.
And he goes, "I think they may have them. And let's go over there." And we went, and I got this guy right here, which is the first Microtech I ever bought.
Oh, dope, dude. Let me see. Nice. Nice, a bayonet. I can't quite see the year on it.
2017.
2017. Yup. 2017 would have been North Carolina made on that one there. That's dope, dude, with the original camo finish. I love that. Guys love that texture.
That's dope. It's tri-grip, right?
Yeah.
So I got this, paid $800 for it.
I
did not know. I mean, this is the funny thing is, like, before I started selling the knives, I was like, I thought that's what I did. I didn't have any pricing research. I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, I just wanted the knife so bad that I paid for it. I bought it, went, and I did one little video with Masvidal and I all I did was stick the knife up and stick it down. He dropped his phone. And like he got like a crazy.
I think I remember that video.
He just dropped
it was
his
really
phone,
dope.
Just a little line. And so like, and then I got introduced to you guys. Yeah. And I got a call like, "Hey, would you think about doing another funny video like that?" And I did another video where I stabbed the heavy bag, and that video went viral.
I know, bonkers. I remember. Yeah.
And it was like,
shanked that thing up. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, he just shanked the heavy bag."
So I shank a heavy bag, and I'm like, everyone started asking me about, "Hey, like, where do you get those knives? I want a knife like that. How do you get a knife like that?" And that's where the relationship began. I was like, you know what? Let me see, these guys will let me sell some of these knives, because I think I could open up some doors to some new people that keep on asking about it.
I remember when you kind of first came on board, and you guys have really evolved as a company too. Yeah. Like in a big way.
The first order I did, I was scared shitless. This is, I mean, for all the small businesses out there and anyone that's, getting into the knife game or getting into selling this kind of stuff, it's scary. You don't know what this is the thing, is that we're not selling, knives that are reproduced a million times, that are made in a different country, that are made with, in just materials that are whatever. We're selling high end, very, very well thought and engineered knives. Microtechs are at a different level. I tell everybody, this is the Rolex of knives. If you look at it like that, this is like, this is the machinery and the time and the tolerances and everything that goes into this knife. Not only is it made here in the United States, but it's made by, engineers in the United States, factory workers in the United States, American-made, products. And like this tells the story of like a old school, like nice, it's jewelry knife. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not jewelry knife. It's like the most intricate piece of combat and
I mean, one of our terms have always been tactically classy.
Tactical classy. That's an easy way. I mean, that's a very, very smart way of putting what this is. And so when I explain that to people, when I explain like, hey, this is why you're spending this kind of money. This is the kind of money that you're going to be spending on something that you can hand down to your kids. This is something that they can hand down to their grandkids. And when they get them, 100 years later, it's still going to work. Yeah. And that's why they're so important. And that's why I wanted to, not only kind of like get involved, but just be really deeply involved in spreading the word, because I love them. Because I'm obviously a fan of the knife, but I'm just just a fan of design. I'm a fan of quality and craftsmanship. And you guys hit, this way out of the park, man.
We've tried. We got a really great crew. Again, that's what kind of, even though it was I always say this, my vision initially, we've been able to surround ourselves with great people, and a lot of that is like companies like yourself. I mean, so I don't, a lot of people think, well, the bigger the company, everything else, there's been a lot that have been with us, but I will say for what you've done, you've probably been the heaviest advocate of our brand and probably the biggest cheerleader. So I commend you there, man. And it means kudos to us. It really does. And, we're always trying to make better ways to communicate and connect with our accounts, because you're the delivery system to get to our customers. And that's so important. Like we were, discussing about the customer service, customer service comes on all different types of levels. And we're always kind of striving to do that a little bit better. It's tough because we have, knives out there that exist from 27 years ago. And we even see some of those come through, and it's neat to see the vintage pieces come through, the warranty system. And sometimes we could fix them. Sometimes we can't. There's just no parts available at that point in time, because the knives will eventually wear out as you sharpen them, everything else. And I've seen some pieces that are, wore pretty hard, but I got some people that are out there that are like, hey man, I've carried this knife for 20 years. And it's just like, that means it's a shit ton to me, because I would have never have guessed in a million years back in the day that some of these things would exist even now today.
Would you have guessed that people would be purchasing these knives and not using them?
I hear that a lot because guys are like, man, I love these. I don't even want to touch them. I don't let anybody touch them. I fire them, I clean them, and I put them away. And it's just like, but then I get guys that use them. And so, we get both sides of the spectrum. And, I've seen some unbelievable collections. And it just even amazes me, when a guy will send me a picture and he's like, hey, Tony, here's my collection. It's just like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, wow, thank you. Thank you. And our people are, 180 plus employees. Thank you.
When I first got involved
we get it.
in obviously selling the knives, I never thought, and it didn't even cross my brain that there was a collector market that was so like not only just dialed in, but like fanatic about the knives. And so it really started to hit us when we would have people asking like, hey, would you sell our knife? Can I sell a knife, or can you sell my knife, and then I could buy another one? I'm like, sure, send it in. Let me look at it. Yeah. And we started getting these knives sent in, and I'm like, wait, have you ever even opened the box? No. Wait, you've never opened the box? How long have you had this knife? 3 years. You've never opened the box. You've had it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And why? What do you want to do? You guys just brought one out. I really want this one so bad, and I want to trade this one. And I'm like, so you've just had this box in your room and you haven't opened it up? Yes. I've got 100 of them like that. I'm like, what? Whoa. And so we started to realize.
Well, there you go, guys. We know where all the Ultratechs and shit are going to these guys that have 100 of them at a time. Thank you.
They buy what we find is they buy every color. And they collect them all.
Every color, every SKU.
And then when I say 100, they have 100 of Microtech knives. They have different colors and different.
Of course, no. I mean, guys will sometimes send me because they'll be like, dude, I own every series of this one particular style you've done, and they send me a picture and just like, wow, that's dedication.
Dedication on another level. We do teaser, like when we start to when we do a drop or we do a teaser drop, we will have people like offering 4 to 5 times the amount that we're going to sell it for if they could get it early. And we never do that. Like it's, we keep it very fair. So when we do the drop, everyone gets a fair chance.
Sure.
But like if you look at it and like, I could, there's so many people that want to try to jump the drop and spend ungodly amounts of money. You have something there.
Yeah.
And that's where like the beauty of just like, wow, like this whole community, this whole company, everything that's been revolved around how the knife comes out, when it comes out, the types of knives that are coming out, has really transpired into a, it's FOMO for people. They don't want to miss out.
Right.
And that's cool. And like, that's a very, very, like, you don't see that often with brands ever. Very, very,
appreciate
very rare.
That. I mean, our thing is to continue to, do the best we can to dominate our industry and stay innovative. But again, our attempt now is to continue to become closer to our customer and, of course, our accounts and then our employees. That's the only way this is going to work going forward.
That's what keeps them going, and that's what keeps them coming back.
That's what I'm thinking.
And so you've been doing a good job on that. We appreciate everything that you guys have done. And for us, it's like you guys took a chance with us, you know, and like it's in normal industries, if you're going to go and you have the high, you know, you've got the shit and you've got the best out there, for other people to take a chance on you is very rare. You know, and obviously for me, I mean, it means a lot to me that you did, because you could have easily told me no. And you could have easily been like, yeah, you know what, go out and see what you could do, get in the market first, and then we'll come talk to you. But like, you've done that, and I know you've done that with not just me, but with people in your life where you've looked at them and said, hey, look, I think, you know, I want to take a chance. And I appreciate you taking the chance on me.
Well, I mean, we've seen the initiative when you first got interested in the brand. You made a couple trips down here, which means a lot. You know, meeting face to face, we don't get an opportunity to do that with a lot of our accounts, even though I feel that in the future, I think that's going to be necessary.
Yeah.
I think for us as a company moving forward, I think having these connections, having these, you know, relationships is extremely key. You know, we have an employee, her name is Jess, and she puts together this, oh my God, I'm having a senior moment, our summit. And, you know, it kind of, you know, brings our top accounts in. You know, we're going to continue to broaden that, but it's a very special time for us to, you know, get an opportunity to sit down, hear what people have to say, have a few drinks, loosen up. It's just like the dessert knives that we did for Blade HQ. You know, that was stemmed right from, you know, the last summit that we did, and the one dude's like, dude, do them like this. And I'm like, fuck yeah, man, I'll fucking do them like that if you want me to go. And it's been hot. It's been hot. I mean, Blade HQ's skin and ass with that, I don't know, dessert warrior or freaking donut knife, as they call it. Hey. I would have never fathomed in a million years, because there's certain SKUs that I just don't do that sort of thing on. But it's a neat dynamic to be able to sit down and kind of plot and scheme for the future, because like I'm saying it, and I'm telling everybody, the crystal ball just doesn't, the batteries don't work past a certain amount of time anymore. You know, it's not like it used to be, but to get everybody's ideas, accumulative ideas, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but just listening and being dialed in, that was probably one of the more successful programs we've done. And it just came out of freaking, you know, breaking some bread and having a few glasses of wine, you know, and the guys are like, look, if you can consider this is what we can do. And that's why I was telling you at dinner last night, I want to explore better ways for you to connect with your customer with this brand. And, you know, some of it, I mean, we can do, but, you know, explore it, you know, talk to your people. You seem to have a good charismatic way of connecting with people. That I get it, man. So it's just like anytime I'm around you, I'm in a good, you know, it's like your testosterone flows over to me a little bit, and I'm ready to fight and everything else. And
it's rolling,
yeah,
man.
Just like fucking get me going, dude. It's like, yeah, you know, I want to take over the world continuously.
Well, but we want to dominate together.
Yeah, and so it's nice to meet and kind of plot and scheme. Sometimes, you know, when we go over ideas, some of it's palatable, some of it's not at the time, because, you know, there's a lot of momentum at Microtech, and we're still that battleship that moves pretty flexible, but we got to be careful which projects we have to evaluate. You know, where before Tony was, you know, throw the frickin' hammer through the wall and could turn on a dime, and, you know, everybody would fall off the boat, you know, when I skew it. So, you know, a lot of the SOP and procedures and everything that we've set into place are rules that I've had to have the discipline to get out of my old ways to understand that this is the dynamics of how your company flows. So that's why a lot of times, you know, a lot of people are like, well, you're just pawning it off on Wendell or pawning it off on this guy or pawning it off. I'm not. You know, just like I get back to Jess, you know, Jess runs the shows. I go to the show. If I put her in charge, she is the fucking boss. Yeah. And I respect that, you know, because if I'm going to run the show, then it's me. But when she runs the show, it's her, and everybody is like, look at, you know, I follow the same rule, you know, I have to. Because if I put these people in charge and I put them in command of getting something done, you know, I have to follow and tote the line as good as I can. So, you know, yeah, could I bend the rules of the company a little bit? Of course I can. I own the place. But the procedures and SOP have been battle proven over years and allows us the mechanism to flow properly to serve you better.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, and it's interesting because as years ago when we first started this journey, you know, I remember sending you, I'm like, hey, let's do this. And you talked me through like, Hans, hold on, just give it a little bit of time. And now I look back at it and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So now as we're going to, you know, as we start working on and we get into this phase of doing our first Crimson Tactical Microtech knife, like I have a whole different outlook on how this works.
Yeah. And that's going to be exciting. But I'm willing to do that with you because I know your level of participation. I know you'll be on the ground. I know you'll roll up your sleeves and you're going to give us a hand with that. And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, for us to do collabs, I get it. You know, Blade HQ, when they came in, I don't expect those guys to come over and help us paint donut knives. You know, Blade HQ has been instrumental and they've been in the top 3 accounts for years. You know, but on something on the level that we're doing, I want you to participate.
100%.
You know, I want you to come in and say, hey, look at, because what that does for you as an individual that's been a great conduit to the customer and a good advocate for us is the way that you articulate. There's so much, I don't know, man, it's like you're so passionate about what we're doing. It's not even funny. Well, so I want to be able to, if I get you on the bench or I get you in there to work some of this, how much more passionate are you to be about this fucking knife when you show it to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, that's for me, it's like I come from a different world too. Like my whole thing is I'm a designer. I've designed every piece, all the gloves, all the shin guards, everything I've designed for MMA and everything I've done for the fight world. Before that, I designed shoes. And when I was designing shoes and designing clothing, like I'm hands-on because I want to make sure that if I'm doing something, it's going to come out the way that, it's really going to have that feel and the aesthetic and that embodiment of what I really believe.
I like that.
And so when it comes to doing something like a knife, or it comes to something that now that I'm very focused on, I look at the elements that you have, the basis of Microtech, all these different things. And like I said it before, I look at Microtech as a fine Swiss watch. You don't see this in a lot of products in this space where you look. I mean, like I know that seeing like the machinery and understanding how these knives are made and the time and the effort and just knowing like human souls were in this thing, not just machines that are just spitting things out, and there's human souls that are like putting every bit of everything they can into these knives that stem from you and what you've designed and created. That to me is where I want to be. And that's why, like, when I do stuff like this, for me, it even has to be like, I don't want to fuck around and do some little thing that's not going to make any sense. I want to do it so that it reflects what, the brands and the people that I'm associating with.
Sure.
They see that and they go, damn, this is something that, like, this is real. This isn't just some like money making scheme. This is something that's more
like a pyramid fraud scheme.
Yeah.
I love those.
No, I would rather do it right, do it good, and make it like so just like, fuck, man, this is so cool that these brands came together and this happened. Then be like, I want to do 1 million of them and try to sell 1 million of them and not give 2 shits. That's not how it rolls for me. Right. For me, it's like I have a very high standard that I have to compete with, which is you, and I got to go. It has to be at that level, otherwise we don't do it.
Fool.
And that's why, I mean, like, I will put everything into it, like, from every level. If you told me to go, hey, you need to wrap all these knives with newspaper all day long so I would do it. If you
said, part of the last process before it comes alive, dude.
Hey, but I would do it, and if you said, hey, if like, I need you to go in there and whatever, it doesn't make a difference to me. I just, like, I enjoy
dude,
the
if
process.
I had you go make coffee, would you go make coffee?
In 2 seconds.
All right, cool, man.
That's how I roll,
dude.
bro.
That's what I need. I'm telling you, I need an assistant at Microtech, a CEO assistant. What better? Fucking bodyguard, freaking coffee dude.
Whoa.
Got the heavy at the company. You're like, hey, go grab this fucking guy, bring him to the front door, man.
Yeah, I'll do that. That'll be fun. But I want to make knives first, though. Let's do that first. Let's do that one first.
Back to reality. So, dude, tell me about your your mixed martial arts and everything else. I want to hear, man.
All right.
I know, there's more to you than just kicking over fucking guys that plates foods and shit like that on your thing and water bottles. I've seen you in action, and I know that it's serious.
Okay,
tell me.
So that all happened. So I worked in skateboarding and action sports like for 15 years before I started getting involved in the fight industry. And long story short, as you probably know, like, it's one of those things that, I was burned out in doing skateboarding and, and motocross and all the action sports stuff. I started training in, 2001. I met this guy named Dean Lidster and this other guy named Jocko Willenick. And Dean was at that time he was a king of the cage fighter that was going into this company in Japan called Pride FC, and started training with Dean, and Jocko was in the teams. He was a Navy SEAL.
Nice.
And so I started training with Jocko and Dean, and I started my journey, and I started doing jiu-jitsu, doing Muay Thai, started doing, like, back then we had a lot of just it wasn't sanctioned at all. So we'd have to do underground fights, like full on, like black the windows out.
No gloves. Shit, like Fight Club.
Just like Fight Club,
dude.
Yeah, and so
can we do one of those at Microtech?
Easily.
I got a bunch of dudes that would love to get in on that.
We should do that. I'll help you do it. It'll be simple.
Jess, if you're out there, schedule it.
And so I got involved in that. I started training. I started doing all of that, and then in 2006, I started a company called Throwdown.
Okay.
And Throwdown was the first MMA company I did. We made cages, and so we started building cages. My dad's a welder. He was a aluminum TIG welder and built skylights for years. So I brought my dad in. I'm like, hey, we need to start building some cages out. He's like, all right. So we set up a fab shop. I worked with my dad. We started cutting steel and fabbing cages, and we did all the big names back in the day. We did Chuck Liddell, we did Randy Couture, we did Rampage, we did everybody's cage. And I created this business in which I very much like the action sports world. I took those cages and I put athletes in those cage, and then we took a photo of them in the cage, and then I marketed it out there just like I do with Microtech.
That's awesome, dude.
So I put them with a knife, and then I take a picture and put them out there. It's the same shit, no difference.
No, it's great stuff.
And I started doing that, and then I was fighting, and and then I ended up in 2010ish or 11. I got a call from a buddy of mine that was running the show at Monster, and he's like, "Hey, we want to start a like an MMA kind of team. Like, can we get a couple guys? Can you get a couple of your guys on it?" Those two guys, I got two guys on the team, and that turned into a global division at Monster, where we're the UFC, Bellator. We're going to be in ONE FC here now. We've pretty much dominated the entire MMA space, and I started doing that as another thing I do, and I run the combat sports division for Monster, and nice. Picked up guys like Conor McGregor, and you name it, the John Jones, Daniel Cormier, all the biggest names in the space, who I used to, ironically, like Conor McGregor, I used to give him my gear, my Triumph United gear. Nice. So it was very easy for the transitional period of going, hey buddy, would you like to start working with us at Monster? Flowed right over. And just as I do that, and that's why this is where some of the success for Crimson came in. It's like, hey, see this cool knife I have? You want a cool knife?
Nice.
Boom. And so those are those things. Like I've worked in MMA for nearly 2 decades now. Wow. Train still every single day. I still, I try to get out there and mix it up with the dudes. And and then the second part of it is I create funny videos with them.
No, dude, I love them. They're great. I love them.
And it's all about the humor. I saw that there were so many people that were just trying to take this really hard edge of just like, fighter, this, motivation, all these different things. And I'm like, I'm going to show another part. I'm going to kick some shit out of people's hands. I'm going to fuck with these guys.
I love it. I love the videos.
It humanizes them.
It's neat. I'll see you doing some shit, and then you'll like have a crossbow, and then you'll fucking be riding your freaking the mini bike, and fucking throw a knife.
Yeah, I just
wrestle and shank the bag.
Yeah, just the things that like I want someone like you, right? So that anyone that are working hard, doing stuff. They're on social media. They're looking at stuff. They're seeing all this stuff. I just want you to stop and go, what the fuck is he doing now? What is this? And like, if you break one little chuckle, then that makes all the difference to me. Because I want you to laugh. Because I'm not, none of that shit I take seriously. And
I love that, because I get that, I get that. Like, even this morning, I was having kind of a little bit of a, crappy morning, just everything else kind of loaded up, holidays, year-end planning, and a lady that I know, she's just like, I was like, man, I'm having one of those fucking days today. And what does she do? She's such a badass too. She sends me a picture of her moonwalking. It's just like, that's all I needed, man. It's just like, that's it. It's just like, you know what? That just snapped me out of my shit.
That's what she that's the mindset of where I've always wanted to go, is that I'll take.
It was good. So thank you, T, for saving me today.
I have no problem being the court jester and making fun of myself. And that's, it was really tough in the beginning.
It was just for me, but it was just like, man, I needed that.
But it helped, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's the goal, is that like, I think that if you could kind of like soften the blow, and you could throw it out there, and somebody's going to laugh, and even though it's at your expense, because it's at my expense, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm all right with that. And to integrate, like I said, if I could get a lot of these people that people idolize, and like these big name people, to kind of play along with it, have fun with it,
it's cool stuff,
then it just humanizes them a little more.
Yeah, it absolutely breaks the monotony on that there. But yeah, that's cool. So, I've seen throughout the little bit, I see you train so hard and I see you fight and everything else. And I know that you've had some pretty gnarly injuries. I know that one, I think you threw a bag or something.
Yeah, broke my neck.
Head. I can't freaking believe that, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
So like on something like that, man, are you still involved with the CBD products and stuff like that? Or
I haven't, really it's funny you say that. I actually, not CBD.
So I was going to say for whatever products you do because I remember you'd be hurting, man.
Yeah. So
I didn't know, I wanted to ask you what you did for pain management.
Yeah. So I have I did for a long time. I worked with a company out of Charlotte actually. And it was a CBD product, and they made very good CBD products that were like at the level of like where I was seeing that there was results, but then I started to realize that more of the stuff that I was getting out of those products weren't actually CBD related. It was all these other things.
Really?
Yeah. And so about a year, maybe 6-7 months ago, I ended up, I found this company out of Atlanta, Georgia. They did a deal with the UFC, and they had this new product that had very similar ingredients with a couple added other things that they had sent. Like they were working with UFC, working with CrossFit Games, and they're like, hey, can we send you some stuff? And I used it. I was like, holy shit, what is this? Nice. And it's a new product that they've developed. That's a new product I'm working on. We call it Viper. And it's basically, it's canoladine, and it's a product that is supposed to ironically mimic morphine without any side effects of the opiate or any of that.
Yeah, because even the mention of morphine makes my skin crawl.
Totally, but like if you've ever had a serious surgery or if you had anything, that's what they give you. Like you have to have things to cut the pain. Well, these guys have this product, and what they developed is a new version that it comes from canoladine, which is crepe jasmine root. And long story short, like, I got it and I used it and I was like, holy shit, this works. I'll send you some.
Nice.
It's game changing. So I use that before I train. And
it's like anything else. I mean, I do the best I can to try to keep fit and everything else, but I get some pain in my joints and it'll stump me for a day or two.
For sure.
I had a bad injury on my knee years ago and it just never kind of recouped. Now I got bone spurs and some other things in there and a little bit of arthritis pain, so eventually they're like, hey, you're going to have to either muscle it up, do some PT and some other things, but what do you need to manage the pain? It's just like, I'm good. I'm not going to take any kind of over-the-counter anything like that. I'd rather, shit for that matter, just whatever, but I'm always looking for an alternative. Yeah. That's why I asked. I've seen you had some really serious, like I said, when you broke your neck, dude, man.
Twice. I broke my neck twice.
Jesus Christ.
Two. I have my neck is fused twice. My lower back is fused. My shoulder has been completely reconstructed. I mean, it's a brutal game.
I complain about fucking knee joint pain.
Breaking my neck for the second time was pretty eye-opening. Yeah. But when I did my shoulder, that was that pain was excruciating because of how long it took to heal. They cut it open from here and here, detached my shoulder. I have 2 bolts in my shoulder. I've got you can see it right here. See the 2 scars?
Let me see. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so they cut me open in the bottom here, and then I broke it again, so they cut me on top. And so they had to go back in and redo it. So I've got it's fused from C4 to C7 or something like that. Nice. And then my lower back, L5 to S1 is fused. So I've got a cage and 8 bolts back there.
So bro, I need to ask you, when you croak, could I recycle you? Cause I need some fucking extra titanium.
Can you make a knife out of me?
I'll certainly make a knife out of your ass.
Dude, this is the Hans, and it's Hans.
Literally, it's literally Hans.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I have to do what I have to do, man. Cause I mean, like I'm 46. I'm not young
46.
Hey, I'm getting to the point where I feel those pains a lot differently than I did 10 years ago.
Man. And as you get a little bit older, like I don't claim to be an old dude, but it just, I get, joints have wear and tear, man. You fucking run them, especially from what you do, from the fighting, martial arts, and everything else. I hear it from a lot of, practitioners that are like, you could wear out your knees in a hurry, or joints or shoulders.
But what you guys do when you're doing your 3-gun, when you're running around, I mean, like, I was just introduced to a lot of this stuff recently in the last 5 years, and I didn't understand, like, man, a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing, that is heavy duty stuff. It's workload.
For me, it's always been something that I really enjoyed. I probably didn't get an opportunity to train nearly as hard as I should have, or But I'll tell you what, my experiences on the 3-gun side is what's kept me as good as fit. It's probably been the best fun and the best time I've had. But you're right. It can be, a couple of the matches that Ray and I shot tested us good, tested us really good physically.
They're endurance based though.
Yeah, we got invited to go out to the Duskin 3-gun, which was an honor and a big privilege for us to do.
Oh yeah.
But from a physical standpoint, it was it was pretty challenging. It was challenging for us. There was some of the PT I just couldn't pull it through. If you get a bad shoulder and it's just like, what are you going to do? You either got to muscle it up or you got to drop the weight and fucking run. But I give those guys a lot of credit. But for some of them that do it, it's very physically challenging, or at least it can be.
What do you enjoy the most out of all those that you do?
Sniper competitions.
Yeah.
Is sniper comps, and they're even physically challenging.
Yeah,
it's not
because you got to ruck all that stuff up the top,
dude.
too, right?
You do. I mean, the Snipers Unknown is typically one that we really have enjoyed.
Oh, I've seen those guys. Those guys are amazing.
They're great, but Ray took me out to one. I think my first one was out west. And it's just like, hey, he's like, hey, look, we got a hump, and if anybody gets on your tail and they supersede you, it kind of knocks you out like golf.
Yeah.
So we practice rucking 15, 16 minute mile, doing whatever with a full loaded gear and everything else. It could be very challenging, out west to do these competitions, but I've enjoyed them the most. I think.
Do you have to climb stuff too? Like, is it because one of them? Don't you have to climb up ladders?
The last one that we did at GTI, yes, you had to climb in towers. There was all kinds of different physical ways, because the whole idea is to challenge you. Everybody's thinking, well, okay, I could shoot a high power rifle from my belly off a mat or would do whatever, but try shooting that out of a tower off a railing, or try shooting that off a car or a car roof or inside of a vehicle. It changes the dynamic completely. Or how about doing offhand shots? So the whole idea was, at least with the Snipers Unknown, those guys, did some real world stuff.
Yeah.
It was really exciting, but it wasn't like, well, here's your targets at 500, 600, and 800 yards. It's like, no, here's your fucking limits. Okay, you're going to run over here. Don't run past the wall because there's no guard and it's 6 stories down and you'll fall and die.
Yeah, right.
And it's okay. And it's just like, you be you, boo, and just don't freaking muzzle me and you'll be fine. These guys were hardcore, and it's just like, it was really challenging, but a whole lot of fun. We had one last year, I think it was like raiding a bus, man. It was the most adrenaline you can do, because the guy drops a flashbang in a bucket and that was your go time to go. And it's just
what's the time limit? Like what?
Most of the pars would be maybe 5 minutes. So imagine having to climb a tower, get into position, whether it's primary or secondary has a certain set of rules. They'll give you, primary has to strike these 3 targets. You got to strike the last 5 targets. If you do them out of order, no points. So you really had to pay attention under time, because it was a matter of getting out there, identifying the targets, engaging the targets or neutralizing them in the order that the match.
But do they call time on you, or do you just
oh hell yeah, dude.
Okay, so I didn't know if they if there's like a buzzer that goes off.
Absolutely, drop it right there, man.
Shit.
And
are you watching the time though as it's going? Like, are you guys,
you need to be
guys just
preppy, because
focusing?
It's like when you're waiting for 30 seconds on your fucking microwave, it seems like an eternity. Shoot a 5-minute freaking par. It's like, oh shit, boop.
Done.
You're out.
Yeah, like you just got to the top and like it's done. Yeah, like that's what I thought was cool.
Yeah,
I was like, geez, man, these guys are
big difference.
These guys are this is what it's probably the most accurate of a real world situation. Because if you have a target and you got to get on that thing, you got to get on it.
I think and like I said, working with Ray and stuff like that, he's taught me more about shooting than ever I've learned in the history of my life of firearms. I mean, granted, could I operate every gun in there? Most likely take a majority of them apart. I've been around firearms all my life, but I didn't learn how to actually use them until I paired up with Ray Holm, so.
Well, I mean, the guy's he's like the most the most interesting man alive, man. Like
he's like a Korean, like 007.
Well, today, I mean, we're sitting at breakfast and he's like,
real deal.
I raced for BMW, I'm like, cars or bikes, both. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, he goes, and I was a cop, and I'm like, wait,
no, it's all true.
I remember you when you just showed me how to use this gun. I didn't know you're doing all this other shit.
No, Ray's amazing. He's a good friend. So, but like I said, that's something that I probably enjoyed if I have any memories on my deathbed, it'll be all our adventures that we had.
That's phenomenal, dude.
No, it was always a good time. Always good stories and good experiences and everything.
He was telling me about the time that you guys had I think it was in Texas or something, where they had lost your guys' stuff, but then when you guys notify the authorities, they just somehow magically popped up.
That's what I appreciate, is just the calmness and the coolness, but the actually sternness of the phone call that Ray made. It was very to the fucking point. It's like, all of a sudden, somebody's bringing us our gear.
Oh, I've been here for 8 hours. And can you imagine normal people that that are sitting there for 4 days and they're like, oh, it was just back there the entire time?
I know, right?
Dude, it's crazy, man.
I know, it's so silly.
So,
but anyway, hey, everyone. Today's episode is brought to you by, what are you drinking, bro?
1942, bro.
Don Julio, 1942.
Hey, that's it. That's what you got to roll, man.
Bad. It's not perfect, but it's definitely.
Can I give you a funny story about that?
Yeah, tell me.
So I don't normally drink 1942.
Cheers to that, bro.
Hey, I don't normally drink it. I do like it, but I have a really good friend who's been in the industry.
You chose it. You could have picked any freaking. I got everything from Anejo to.
Oh, I got a funny story about
it. Ho or whatever.
I got a funny story about it. So I don't normally drink tequila. When I saw it, though, and this is where the story begins, is that Tiki Gosen, he's a MMA agent, former fighter, fought numerous fights in the UFC, but he's an agent. This dude fucking goes when we're traveling and doing UFC shit and whatever. He always orders this stuff, and when the bar tab comes, I mean, like normal bar tabs from drinking a bunch of buddies, like a couple $100. When it shows up, it's a couple thousand, because those shots are so damn expensive. And he drinks them, or he drinks them neat, and he drinks a bunch of them. And I'm always looking at it, because like once he's drinking, I'm like, you're buying, bro. Like, I know what you drink. I ain't doing that. Second, he's like, I drink it because my gout. Like, wait,
no shit. I've never had.
And he goes, yeah, I drink it because I got gout. And I go, what are you talking about? It's the only thing I could drink, doesn't flare my gout up.
Dude, man. Yeah, if I drink like a couple beers or something like that, my freaking knee or my foot will swell up. It's similar.
Hey,
this one here is good. I've never had any issues.
That apparently is the gout-friendly alcohol. And
no shit, ladies and gentlemen, gout-free alcohol.
Hey, all you all that listen, you guys, if you got gout and you guys you're battling from gout, 1942 will do the trick, bro. Because I'm telling you, man, I see this guy. I want to tell my son
Tony, if you're listening, 1942, buddy.
You're good. Drink 1942. Good to go. If you got gout, no problem. Liver King probably should be drinking that shit.
That's funny, dude. Well, cool. At the end of the day, just tell me, what are your expectations, or what do you expectations are always a hard thing to say, but what are your objectives for 2023?
Oh, fucking same objective as always, and fucking dominate the goddamn world.
That's what I'm fucking talking about,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm here to conquer and dominate. Yeah. Let's fucking go, bro. Tony, we're gonna do this shit in a way that no one's ever seen it before. We're gonna fucking go. It takes full speed.
It takes
no brakes.
Absolutely, definitely takes a unique approach to continue to connect, and just like doing these podcasts and stuff like that. I get it, man, but it reaches some people, and people are very, very interested to see a little bit behind the scenes, get a better understanding that there really is blood and iron behind this brand.
100%.
There isn't a shovel shit in the freaking machine and out come these finished knives on a conveyor. There's a lot of grit and a lot of blood.
No, this is one of those things that it's an educational lesson that if you are willing to partake in and put the time and the effort and the energy, you'll understand that you can too. Like, actually, you could build something off this. I was never expecting to be a knife, seller at all, ever. I love knives. I love stabbing shit. I love doing stuff like that.
You like throwing knives,
I love
shooting arrows.
I like fucking shooting guns, pulling fucking bow and arrows. I like anything. Weapons are fun for me. I like my fists. I like my shins. But knives have always been special to me. I've always loved knives. My grandfather gave me a knife when I was really young, and it's always been one of those things that I love fucking knives. And so when I discovered your knife, when I discovered the Microtech, two things that I fucking loved: sharp blade, and the fucking internals and the engineering behind the knife. It wasn't just a fucking blade. It wasn't just it was more than that. It was this engineering behind it that made it so cool. I love watches, and I love internals of watches. And when people talk about watches, and I go, I've got a fucking iWatch, and I'm like, cool. Your iWatch still isn't as cool as a fucking,
the mechanics
as a Swiss watch.
I love it.
That basically, you see the heart and soul that goes into something.
That's why I like some of the watches that are flybacks on the back, so you can see.
Oh yeah, you see it because you see these internals. But when you see the internals of a Microtech, or you see how these things are made, and you understand that every single part came from here.
Yeah.
every part. And they came from a factory that like every single person there, I saw, you know what? I've been in a million factories, man, for everything from shoes to clothing to all this stuff. And every time I go in a factory, this is what I see. The factory lookers like, they're just bummed. I walk in your factory, they're fucking happy. They're giving me high fives or bumping. Like everybody there was just so happy, and that meant a lot to me.
That makes me happy because if you could see that, we have our issues from time to time, but I'd say 9 times out of 10 or even 9.5 times out of 10, everybody's happy to be there. Everybody's freaking on top of their game and everything else. And that's what I love to see. I love to see the consensus of the shop that, and that's why I got to watch when I go in. If I'm in kind of a tough mood, people kind of lift me up.
Yeah, don't go in.
They're like, you're setting the pace for the whole entire organization if you're all fucking like in your head or doing anything else. So when I'm in a good mood, it resonates. So I've learned that over the course of time. Yeah.
Everybody. I met guys that were running the tumbling machines. I met the Swiss lathe guys. I met the quality control guys. Yeah. Every single person in there was just smiling and happy and so happy to fucking say hi to me. And I was cool with that, because for me, they don't, like they're on the other side of this, man. And they're on the side that they could just, whatever. These guys were truly just fucking cool people, man. And I looked at them and I realized that this is something that's been created from the ground up for a reason. And that creation stems from you and your hard work. But more than anything else, it's the soul of the brand. And the soul of this brand is real. And so
absolutely, 100%.
I want to take that soul and I want to take what you do. And I want to continue on my path with you. And I want to go from here to fucking here. And that's just what I'm going to continue to do. Okay, and that's where we, as people that work together, we see that, we recognize it, and I know
man. I appreciate.
I know that I don't fuck around, and when I say I'm going to do it, I do it. So that's where we're going to go.
Like that. Hey, man. I got a little something for you. It's nothing special, but I wanted to use it and enjoy it, man.
Oh my God, thank you, dude.
For my cruise.
Ooh, can I open it up right now?
Of course, man. It's Christmas.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Hope you guys don't mind that I hit my kazoo.
Look at that, dude. Look at that. See? Mine, not yours, motherfucker.
Enjoy it, bro.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy it.
Whew, big dog.
Don't hang that one on the wall. I want you to use that one. I want you to shank some bags. And some other motherfuckers.
Don't forget, I'm the dude that shanks bags with the fucking protocol, the custom protocol that gets me yelled at by your customer. What does he do? I've got my custom. I've got a custom Dirac and a custom protocol that I shank and I open boxes with, and it makes people go crazy that I'm using it. So trust me, this is cool. I'm gonna shank a bunch of shit with this, and I'm gonna tag you every time.
Shank it and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Hey, on our podcast, we typically. I display one of the guns out of my library collection. I thought that this one would be appropriate. So this is Honey Badger by Q. And, we did through Marfione Industries did a conversion. So it is select fire. But the Honey Badger has been always one of my favorites, and Honey Badgers in general just don't take any fucking shit. So check this out.
That guy, right?
Integrally suppressed, 300 blackout, one of my favorite go-to machine guns.
Oh my God.
So, Kevin, if you're out there, good job, bro. I have 3.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, man. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I just can't take it back to California.
Jesus, you can't even have straws in California.
I know, man.
Fucking can't have straws, chopsticks, nothing.
Dude.
Can you have chopsticks? Maybe.
Barely. I don't even know if we could have paper towels anymore.
I got you.
You have to use cloth rags.
I know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on board, and I'm looking forward to our adventures in 2023.
It's only going to get better.
Stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe.
Roll out.